Hey, welcome Indrajit. A very good afternoon. Can you
Hi,
start
Ritesh.
with your brief introduction at the work around what skills you've worked on in your current company? What are the exact roles you're working in?
Yes, hi Ritesh. So I am Indrajit. I am from Hyderabad. I am having 4 years of experience in Power Platform domain. I have worked on Power Apps, Power Automate, Canvas apps, model-driven apps, then Power BI, and I had integrated various Power Platform tools together. So previously I worked with Microsoft in a vendor capacity. Right now I'm working with Striker. So yeah, so here I'm responsible for completing the projects end to end. I gather the requirement. After that, I create approach documents. So once it is done, I'll get it reviewed from my uh, stakeholders. So once it is reviewed, then I'll start working on it. So once the development is completed, so then we go back to them for UAT feedbacks. So after UAT feedbacks, like we will push it to production. So here my tech stack is around Power Platform only, and I am getting some data from SQL Server and then reporting it in the Power BI reports also.
So let me start with some normal questions. How many members team is it you are working as a standalone member, or there are the other team members in your team also?
Yeah, previously I was working in a team, like we were a team of 15 members. So right now here I'm working as an individual contributor. I have experience in both, like I have worked in a team also and I'm working as an individual contributor also.
Okay, okay. So as an individual contributor, what all difficulties have you faced, maybe while working on any Power platform or maybe working on any Power Apps environment? Any difficulties which you can highlight?
So Ritesh, to be honest, while individual working as individual contributor, so we may face sometimes some difficulties related to the requirement, like where we need to implement something tricky and we are not aware about how to implement. So then we don't have anybody to help us, like how to go ahead. So then we need to check it on. Then we need to research around Google, or then we need to research on various Microsoft Power Platform community, like how to achieve that solution. So there it might take some time, but at the same time it is good for us. Like while suppose I'm searching how to create a dynamic login user. So for that I need to search, and like while searching I'll come across 10 other things that will help me in increasing my knowledge. So this is the thing that I am facing challenges, but I think it is good for me. I consider.
Okay, okay, cool. Now, let's start with the technical aspects. So can you give me an idea about what you mean by delegation in Power Apps?
Yeah, so basically delegation is nothing. What in basically if you are creating a Canvas app, so there like you will be able to read only 2000 records at max. So there are some delegable function and there are some non-delegable function. If you are using a non-delegable function, so then they will run on only top 2000 records. Suppose you are having a data set, and in your data set you are having 10,000 record and you are using a count rows function. So then count rows will return you only 2000 number, because it works on only top 2000 records. So to remove this delegation warning, what we will do is we will create the delegable functions. So delegable functions are nothing but they will run directly on the data source and it will give you the results.
Okay, thanks for the brief explanation about delegation. So any idea about local and global variables which are used in Power Apps?
Yes, so basically there are two types of variable which we use in Canvas app. One is local variable and second one is global variable. So for local variable, the scope of the variable is confined to a single screen only. For global variable, we can use it across the screens. So for local variable, we use update context to declare a variable. And if we are using update context, that means that is local variable and it will be used in that screen itself. So if we want to declare an global variable, then we will use set variable name and then the value. So then it will be used across the Power App, no matter how many screens you have in the Power App.
Okay, okay. So, I mean, what exactly do you mean by Power Automate? How different is it with respect to Power Apps? I mean, you can give me a brief idea. Uh, there would be certain difference, right?
Yes, so basically Power Apps are nothing but they are used to create enterprise applications. So as I mentioned, Canvas app. So in Canvas app, we are having complete control over the UI. So suppose you want to have a login button in some way that you want to achieve, like it should be of some different color. You want to use different image, and suppose you want to have the menu icon out at the bottom, or some after some time the requirement came the menu item should be on the top. So all the UI elements we can customize in the Canvas app. So similarly we have another type of app named as model driven app. So model driven app we use when we the main focus is data, not UI. So in model driven app we have out of the box UI available, like we have forms, views, all those things. So then we will be able to like add the data from there. So Power Automate is like totally different to that. Power Automate is used to achieve the automations, like the what to say, cloud automations and desktop automations. So cloud by cloud automations, what I mean is, suppose you are creating a Power App, okay, and you have a page there where you are registering the users. So once a user is registered, suppose you want to send an email to the user that you are registered with the app, now you can use it. So for that, what we can do is we can integrate our Power App with the Power Automate. So in backend, our Power Automate will run. It will fetch the details of the users which are stored in your Dataverse or whatever data source you are using. So then, like after that, it will fetch the details and send the email to the users. Like the automations part, we can achieve using Power Automate, and it is tightly integrated with Power Platform product. Like we can integrate it with Power Apps, we can integrate it with Power BI. Similarly, we can integrate with model-driven apps. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So as you said, Power Automate, more a kind of automation is used. So you have any idea about what all actions are present, what all flows are present inside this Power Automate?
Yeah, so basically there are two main component of a Power Automate flow. First is trigger, then our actions. So trigger is the first step of any Power Automate flow that you are creating. So we are having different types of trigger available. First will be the manual trigger. The manual trigger is nothing. Suppose you want to run a automation on demand. Like whenever you want to run, you go to the Power Automate flow, click on run, and it will run. And second one is recurrence trigger. So recurrence trigger is nothing but suppose you want to run an automation at every 3 p.m. or every day 3 p.m. So then you will schedule that. It will automatically run at 3 p.m. So then the third one is like suppose you want to run the automation once a item is created in the SharePoint, or once a record is created in the SharePoint. So that is automated trigger. So it will automatically get your flow will automatically get executed once the item is created in there. So and then there are various sections which are present. Suppose you want to do some manipulation in the Dataverse. So then you have various Dataverse actions available like get a row, update a row, delete a row. Similarly for SQL also it is available. Similarly, if you want to perform various operations, like suppose you want to select some items, it is available. You want to filter the data, it is available. You want to parse the JSON output, it is also available there. So yeah, this is about triggers and action in Power Automate.
Okay. No, so thanks for the brief explanation. So as you said, I mean, there would be different flows, there would be different triggers available as and when required, we can change it. So you have any idea about, I mean, what all basic actions which are frequently used, or maybe you can give me an idea how to get a data from API into Power Automate.
Yes. So basically, to get a data from API, first of all, we need to be aware about the authentication method of the API. Okay. So if the API is public, so then we can directly use HTTP connector, and we can select the method as a get, and then we will get the data from the API. Now, suppose the API is private, protected. So then we will be able to get the bearer token for that. So the bearer token for bearer token, the lifetime of bearer token, it depends. Like for most of the time, it is 24 hours. So what we need to do is First of all, we need to create a trigger depending on the requirement when we want to get the data from API. In the second action, we need to use HTTP connector. We need to fire client ID and client secret. That will generate a bearer token for us. Then in the third action, we will fire the actual API by passing the bearer token that we have generated in the second step. So and then after the output of third step, we will get the parse JSON output from the API, the JSON output from the API. Then we will use the parse JSON action from our Power Automate that will convert that will pass the JSON and convert the output into object. Then we will use the select action. On the select in the select action, we will select all the items which are required for our use. So then after that, suppose I want to dump this data into SQL Server, I will use a SQL Server connector to update a row. So then sorry, I will use apply to each. And then in apply to each, I will pass that select output. Then I will use update a row connector. So then I will update the data one by one there, and it will be updated.
Okay. Now, as you said, maybe in last few questions, you were using the word called as Dataverse. So can you give me an idea what exactly Dataverse is? I mean, what is the exact use of Dataverse in this Power Platform environment?
So, Ritesh, Dataverse is the virtual database that is provided by Microsoft in Power Platform license itself. So, you can consider Dataverse as the backend of all Power Platform tools. It is not that they run on only Dataverse, but it is out of the box data solution which is provided by Microsoft. So, we can store the data into Dataverse in entities. We can create relationships. We can get the data from Dataverse into Power Apps, Power Automate, and basically it is similar a kind of data source only, similar to SQL only, but it is out of the box with Microsoft that is tightly integrated with all the Power Platform products.
Okay. Now, as you said, it's a tight integrated and it's a special database or special source which is given by Microsoft. So, are there any
Yeah.
security roles which also has an impact on them? I mean, what all security rules are there in case of Dataverse?
So basically, security rules are nothing. They are used to prevent the access on the dataverse. So suppose you have created an entity and you want a particular user to have only read access to the entity. You don't want a particular user to update the entity. So for that, suppose you have so many users, you have around 150 users. So one option is to go to the user one by one and then give access to them on the entity. So that is not a scalable solution. So for that we have the security roles in place. So you can create a default you can create a new security role that will say like a read access to team members, and on that security role you can give access to entity, access to the particular entity that you created as only read. So then you can add all the members of your team whom you want to only read the data to that security role. So then all the members which are there in that security role will inherit all the accesses which were given to that security role. Basically, it is similar to Azure Active Directory groups.
Okay. Okay. Got you. Any idea about pagination or what do you mean by pagination in Power Automate?
Yes, so pagination is, suppose you are using a get items from SQL Server. So it will give you only 5,000 records. So if you want to get more, if suppose in your SQL Server you are having 20,000 records, and if you are using a get item, so it will read only 5,000 records. So if you want to read those 20,000, so then we need to enable the pagination. So how it will be enabled? You have to click on the three dots of the SQL Server action. Then you need to go to the settings, and there is a field called pagination, and we can increase it to 20,000. So then we will be able to read 20,000 records all at once. And it the upper limit of pagination in Power Automate is 1 lakh rows.
Okay. Okay. But you, I mean, you have any idea about Power BI also? I mean, you have mentioned in your resume that I can see you have a good exposure to Power BI as well. So
Yeah.
you, okay. So can you correlate the pagination in Power Automate and pagination in Power BI? I guess it's both the same, but if you can give me an idea, how different is it?
Okay. Pagination in Power Automate and pagination in Power BI.
Yep. Yep.
Just a sec. So basically in Power Automate, I already explained to you like what is pagination. So in Power BI, pagination refers to the number of pages in the report and arrangement of report items on those pages.
So it's basically same. I mean, if in brief, in case pagination, if we have a visual in Power BI where we are getting a scroller, in one single view, we are not able to see all the records as the same in
Yeah,
Power
correct.
Automate. So similarly, in case of Power BI, if you take a paginated report and if you're taking a visual, if that page or if that visual is getting more number of records, it will go on adding multiple pages. So it will be a pixel perfect organization or pixel perfect. The information was it will be clustered into multiple pages if the number of information is going beyond certain limit.
Yeah, yeah, paginated report. Got it. Yes.
Okay, okay. And any idea about managed and unmanaged solutions? How it works?
Yes, so basically solutions are nothing. They are the container which contain everything about the system in Power Platform. Like solution will contain entities, they will contain relationships, they will contain the custom JavaScript scripts, they will contain the plugin execution. So solution are used to transport one component from one environment to another. So we are having two types of solution, managed and unmanaged solution. So suppose you are using a development environment. So in development environment, you need to update the various forms, various entities. Like you will be updating the solution components. So then for there we will be using unmanaged solution. So suppose then in the developer in the production environment, if you are not supposed to do any editing there, so that's why there we will use the managed solution. So basically the bottom line is in unmanaged solution we can do the updation, but in the managed solution we can't do any updation.
Okay. I mean, how do we deploy that solutions to Power Platform? I mean, what is the process? What steps we follow?
So suppose you want to deploy the solution from development to production. So then what will you do is you will export the solution as a managed solution from the unmanaged environment, that is development environment. So after exporting, you will go to the target environment, that is the production environment in our case. So then and there what we need to do is there will be import button. So once you click on that import button, you have to locate that zip file that you have imported in the previous step, and then you need to click on the import. So then your solution will get imported, and all the changes that you did in the development environment will get reflected in the production environment.
Okay, cool. Now, as I can see, you mentioned Power BI. So, have you ever worked on integrating Power Apps or Power Automate inside Power BI?
Yeah, I have integrated Canvas app in Power BI.
So, what was the reason? I mean, what was the exact requirement where you have integrated Power Apps into Power BI?
Yes, so basically there was a survey form that we need to give to the users. So we have integrated that form in the Power BI.
Okay. And I mean, how a refresh happens? I mean, if you want to publish that, I mean, you have integrated that specific Power App to the Power BI. So how a refresh happens? Do we directly publish that report and automatically when the Power App gets updated, that updated data would be refreshed in Power BI? Any idea on this?
Refresh in the Canvas app, how it will happen?
No, that same Canvas app which you have integrated in Power BI, if in case I
Yeah.
want to refresh the Power BI also, how that refresh takes place. Anyways, Power app would be refreshed, Canvas app would be refreshed. But as and when the app is getting refreshed, that same data would be directly available inside Power BI service when where the report is published.
Yeah, yeah. So for refresh, we have like two options. We can refresh the report manually, or we can schedule a refresh. So if you want to refresh the report manually, you can go to the semantic model and click on a refresh icon there. So then it will get refreshed on demand. So if you want to schedule the refresh, you can go to the settings and then enable the schedule refresh there. So it depends on the licensing also. For Power BI Pro, it is 8 times, and for Power BI Premium, it is 48 times a day.
Okay, got you. Any idea about what all filters are present inside Power BI? I mean, what type of filters are there?
Yeah, basically there are three types of filters which are present. Page level filter, report level filter, and the visual level filter. So basically, visual level filter is nothing. Suppose you want to show the particular data on the visual, so then you can apply the visual level filter. And suppose you want to, for page level filter, suppose you want to apply the filter on a particular page. So rather than going applying the filter to all the visuals one by one, you can apply directly report level, page level filter. It will get applied to all the visuals which are present in that page. So report level filter is the filter that will applied across all the pages in the report.
Okay. Um, got you. I guess I'm good with Power BI and whatever you have explained in terms of Power Platform or Power Automate environment also, the Power Apps and Power Automate environment. So can you give me an idea? I mean, are you the only person you are working for Power Automate, I mean, the Power Platform environment as well as the Power BI environment, or are there any other members in your team who is helping you in Power BI development?
No. I here in my current project, I am the individual contributor. I am responsible for getting the data and then creating Power BI reports and then creating Canvas app on top of it. So basically, I have did a development on model-driven apps also extensively. So I did various JavaScript coding into that to implement the business logic. And similarly, I have worked on plugins also in C Sharp to implement business logic. So yeah, here I am the only team member who is responsible for working across the Power Platform, that is Power BI, Power Automate, Canvas apps, model-driven apps. And in data source, I have worked with Google BigQuery, then SQL Server, then MongoDB, SharePoint. So all these things I have worked on.
So you have connected all these data sources to Power BI also.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. So if you can give me idea, I mean, how the project which we are looking out for here is more a combination of Power Platform as well as the Power BI combination, because we want a person who knows both the environments, who is well
Okay.
versed with both the technologies.
Okay.
So how early, I mean, how early you can cope up with the, because this specific role is primarily for a retail domain. So how early you can cope up with this, if you get a chance to get into, would it be okay for you to I mean, do you need any additional specific information, or will it be okay if we directly give some documents or any KTs and you will start with the work?
Yeah, Ritesh, like the tech stack that you have mentioned, I don't think I have any issues in that. I have already worked on multiple projects related to this, and I have handled the project individually for them. So tech stack wise, I don't feel there will be any issue. The only thing is like few days I'll be needing to I will be required to uh, understand the data points, like what are the business logics, what are the existing things that you have in place. So for that, I might need some support from you. But tech stack wise, I am good into that. That I'm confident I can work on anything which will come under Power BI, Power Platform, or anything which is related to this.
Okay, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for your explanation. I mean, we as a part of Kpmg, we are working on some retail projects. So that was the reason I asked you. Anyways, once you enter this project, you will get bit ample of time. Now, ample in the sense, you will get the KT videos also. You will get some brief introduction about data points. There are some documents. So once you go through, you will get a brief understanding. What we want is we want an individual who can cope up, who can learn the things very fast, and who can grasp it, so that he can, I mean, come in picture, come in terms what we are working. So that is what our primary requirement was. Was very nice talking to you. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Yeah, thank you, Ritesh. Same here. It was nice talking to you. So I have just one question. So the team for which I am getting hired, you work on which technologies?
Okay, so here a team is a combination of multiple, I mean, multiple projects. So we don't have only one single project here. As a part of KPMG retail and analytics domain, more a kind of it works on the what you say, the accounting, the statistical analysis where we kind of retail accounting purpose. I mean, this project is more a kind of retail accounting or retail business domain. So what we do here is we have three separate teams. We have a data science team which primarily focuses on data models only. We have a data engineering team who only works on Azure related stuff, and then we have a team which works on analytics, which is a combination of Power Platform and the Power BI environment. So we would be hiring you for this specific position where Power Platform and Power BI position is required. So you would be the standalone resource for one single track. There are multiple tracks, but for one single track, you would be standalone resource where you need to, as I've said, where we would be sharing all the documents and data points. So you need to grasp them and you need to, work on whatever requirement it comes with respect to accounting and retail purpose inside this project.
Okay, Ritesh, got it. And how many rounds will be there afterwards?
Okay, usually this is first round of discussion we will have, more a kind of end-to-end technical discussion only we already had. So in case of second round, it would be combination of, I mean, some senior member would be joining and he would be asking some technical questions. Somewhere around, he would also ask you some managerial questions in between. So more a kind of semi-technical as well as semi-managerial round you can assume the afterwards. The second round would be. In first round, I mean, as it's more of pure technical only. So second round, somewhere HR will convey you. She will get back to you with the update and when would be the further process.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I'm good there, Ritesh.
Yep.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Indrajit. It was nice talking to you. Have a good day.
Thanks. Bye bye.